March in Michigan means one thing, unpredictable weather, but it also means some of the best education conferences of the year. Plus, it's Reading Month and Women's History Month, so I've got a packed episode of must-see resources, PD insights, and hands-on media projects for your classroom coming at you. Let's go. March is conference season in Michigan, and I'm excited for three of my favorites. First up, MRA in Grand Rapids is Michigan's top literacy education conference. You can connect with authors, literacy experts, and even young readers and authors, sharing valuable insights across sessions, keynotes, and informal conversations. During the same weekend, MSTA is happening in Lansing for science educators. If you love science, or even if you just want to build science literacy into literally any subject, this is the place to be. There are always live animals, cool rocks, and of course, super engaging hands-on sessions. Finally, McCall, my personal favorite and Michigan's premier EdTech conference. If you're attending for the first time, I actually caught up with one of our teacher ambassadors who is also the 2024 McCall Innovator of the Year to get some tips on how to craft a great conference experience.
The vibe of everybody there, everybody's just so excited about learning. And when you're in a session, you so easily feel like you can say like, hey, what was that you've done in your classroom? That's so cool. Like you get so many ideas, and just the whole energy of McCall is just fantastic. Like I've always said, if our district could just shut down for the 2 days and just send everybody, like everybody can get something out of McCall.
You can find the full interview on our channel or on our social platforms. One last thing, I always like to shout out McCall for driving an intentional focus on personalized and project-based learning, not just technology. So come ready to learn and find things you can implement the next day, no matter what you have access to. If you're attending one of these events, make sure you stop by the MLC booth and say hi.
Hi.
Time for today's mini PD. March is Reading Month, and we're talking about why that's important. Reading Month isn't just about book fairs and readathons, it's about leveraging those events to create a culture where reading is supported everywhere. To help us put this into practice, the Michigan Association of Intermediate School Administrators, MAISA, developed the Essential Practices for Literacy Instruction, which is a free, research-backed guide for educators and schools across the state. Today we're focusing on 3 key priorities from the Literacy Essentials and how you can bring them into your classroom using Michigan Learning Channel resources. First up, building vocabulary and content knowledge. Reading across subjects helps students retain information and build a deeper understanding of the world. By integrating reading into all content areas, students actually develop stronger comprehension skills and learn to decode new vocabulary in meaningful, real-world contexts. Second, focusing on text complexity and meaning making. As students grow, we want to challenge them with increasingly complex texts while providing strategies to help them navigate and interpret what they're reading. At the same time, students should also have the freedom to read for fun. We want them to experience both depth and joy in their reading journeys. And finally, thinking about writing as a response to reading. Reading should lead to writing. Encouraging students to write before, during, and after reading helps them process ideas, engage critically with text, and strengthen their literacy skills. Try balancing a daily journaling routine with longer-term research and writing projects to help students develop both writing fluency and stamina. Now, to support these literacy priorities, the Michigan Learning Channel's Read, Write, Roar series now features 24 new upper elementary episodes designed to reinforce these essential practices in literacy instruction. These episodes help students explore science and social studies texts, build reading stamina, and practice writing in response to what they learn. You can use short 6-minute segments or full episodes to spark discussions and literacy activities in your classroom. Topics range from solar energy and sustainability to the history of foods in the Upper Peninsula, indigenous languages, and wildlife conservation. All episodes and supporting resources are going to be linked in the description, so be sure to check them out. For Women's History Month, let's talk about women who shaped literature, music, and activism through PBS documentaries that you can bring straight into your classroom. First up, Zora Neale Hurston. If you're teaching Their Eyes Were Watching God, these clips from the American Masters Jump at the Sun film give students critical historical context and insight into Hurston's inspiration and research process for her novel, which, now that I think about it, would be great to share with a social studies class too, even if you aren't studying the novel. Another great American Experience feature is Amy Tan Unintended Memoir. Again, if your students are reading The Joy Luck Club or one of her other short stories, this documentary can help you all explore Amy Tan's immigrant family's influence on her writing, as well as how she actually transitioned from a career in technical writing to becoming an award-winning fiction author, which I think is actually a really interesting opportunity for career exploration in any class. Next up, Julia Alvarez, A Life Reimagined, is a newer one that offers a deep dive into topics like immigration, assimilation, and historical storytelling, all topics that show up in Alvarez's works. This would be great for students studying poetry, short fiction, or historical narrative writing to think about craft, style, and purpose in their own writing. There's one about Harper Lee called Hey Boo, which I think is just adorable. To Kill a Mockingbird remains one of the most read books in US classrooms, and this documentary encourages students to critically analyze the novel's cultural impact, both when it was published and now. Finally, the Buffy Sainte-Marie feature called Carry It On is a personal favorite. If your students haven't heard of Buffy Sainte-Marie, this is a great time to incorporate some music into your social and literary analysis and introduce them to Indigenous representation in music from the birth of the American Indian movement through today, as well as the role of folk music and music in general as activism and storytelling. All these resources and lesson plans are available for free on PBS Learning Media, and we'll put the links in the description. Now for our media challenge this week, I want to encourage everyone to celebrate Read Across America Day, which takes place on Monday, March 3rd. But you can join in all week and even all month, because who needs an excuse to read, right? Now get your students reading in whatever way works for you, wherever you are, and then you can head over to the MLC Media Hub and check out our Book Review Media Project page. You'll find prompts, resources, guidance, and inspiration for having students actually create their own video book reviews. You can build a larger project out of it and use one of our free media kits, or just record your students' commentary with a cell phone, a tablet, or even a computer webcam. And please send them along to us because I would love to see what they're reading and enjoying. All right, it's Play Space Party time. First up, Michigan became a state in 1837, and March was actually when some of the first government decisions were made, like choosing a state seal and passing some of the first laws. If I were in the classroom, I would love to take students through researching to learn about some of the earliest laws and why they were important to early citizens and lawmakers. We talk about how those laws might still be relevant today and how our legislation has changed, especially in a moment where it seems like a lot is changing at the state and federal level. This is a great opportunity to help students think critically about the role of government and how laws are passed and enforced. Also this week, in 1954, construction began on the Mackinac Bridge, the 7th longest suspension bridge in the world. This 5-mile-long bridge wasn't completed until 1957 and cost almost $1 billion. I'll bet some of your students have been on the bridge, and even if they haven't, this is a great chance to look at a local example of budgeting, design, engineering, and all of the artistic work that goes into creating an impressive structure like this, but also the social, cultural, and environmental impact that we've seen from the bridge for the past 65 years. I'd love to see what direction students take a personal inquiry project around the history and impact of our state's most famous bridge. Oh, and we have a great segment about the Mackinac Bridge in Read, Write, Roar for upper elementary learners if you want to make sure you're also addressing reading and writing standards with this place-based learning opportunity. So that's a wrap for this week. Which resource are you most excited to use in your classroom? I'd love to hear. Drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more teaching ideas, resources, and updates from the Michigan Learning Channel. We'll see you next time.
This program is made possible in part by the state of Michigan and by viewers like you. Thank you.